I have had 4 hours of sleep. Let's do this. I start out with my usual of just making a rough sketch just to get the outlines and the shapes down pretty much. I don't care at all about if everything is perfect at this stage. Of course, I never really care about that at any stage apparently, but I do my best to make sure that it's at least readable and not terribly anatomically destroyed at this stage before I move on to flats and painting. Just enough to work with pretty much. Now what this is a gift from my friend Zoroshark of her beautiful character Genevieve? Oh, Guinevere. I'm reading it right now. I'm reading the file name and I still can't pronounce it because I'm not putting in the effort to actually read what's on the screen. But it's her character. G. The original G, you know, the OG. Nonetheless though, but to get back on topic, so when I'm ever in a really big art block, I'm just like, friends, give me your OCs, and so I can make very generic portraits of them so I'm less art blocked. And so all my friends just kind of slapped me in the face with a bunch of OC refs, and I'm like, heck yeah! So I picked Zoro's character because she's pretty, and she doesn't have much art of her, so here I am, making some beautiful art for her. Beautiful in air quotes, mind you. But now I'm doing the flats, where I just pretty much just throw it straight under the sketch with not really any concern, and making sure that the sketch lines are not black, because I hate shading with black, because whenever I shade with black sketch marks, it's always really hard to find like a saturated color to work with before I move on to painting, which is what I'm doing now, where I just brush in with the airbrush and the hard brush, just getting some color and some shadows in there. Not really too concerned with the cleanliness of it, really, just making sure that it's at least setting up for later on rendering. Now, usually I shade with a dark red, but because Zoro's reference sketches had kind of like this purple twinge to them and I made the sketch lines purple, I decided that maybe starting out with purple would kind of give it a more ethereal tone, almost, undertone when shading, rather than red, which is more of like a direct exposure to sunlight thing. And this is more of a, I imagine she'd be in a wide, beautiful marble room with columns and statues, but alas, me and many others are very scared of drawing backgrounds. They're scary, they're gonna come to my home, they're gonna threaten my family, and I don't want to have to deal with that. I can't draw backgrounds, I think they're gonna hurt me. Despite this, though, I have been working more on trying to do more backgrounds, nonetheless. Also, a thing of note is I don't like having layers, so I usually just try to merge all of my layers as I go, because the way I figure it is like, okay, you make an edit, if you like it more than the previous edit, merge it. You don't need the old one if you like the new one better. So I just keep doing that and doing that and doing that, and any changes I need to make, I just either paint over or just, you know, make a quick new layer, do the edit, and then merge. Which is most of my process, so I don't end up with like 80 million layers, because if I have 80 million layers, then that means I have doubt. And I'm constantly filled with doubt, so I don't need any more doubt in my life right now, thank you very much. Now, I do fully admit that my process is very, very bad, and like any good professional artist will tell you, no, you need to keep like everything easily and readily available so that you can change and edit things as you go, because you're supposed to have to change things constantly. But here's the thing, I do this as a hobby and I do it very poorly. So I choose to do things how I like to do them to keep it fun and not turning it into a chore. So instead of doing things the right way, I do it the rogue way. And the rogue way is the fun way, and the fun way is not having too many layers to stress over, in my opinion. Now, most of what I've been doing and have been doing this past few minutes is just pretty much using a hard brush or an airbrush to add a little bit of detail and then smoothing it out using an eraser or just blending it. I use very low opacity most of the time, ranging between like 50 to 20%. In like a lot more bigger pictures, I'll even go as low as 5% just so I can get even more levels of detail. Because some things do require that really subtle detail, but things like this that I can just I can just kind of edit quickly. I just use larger opacity brushes since it saves time for the most part.
Now, one of the things I really love painting is the bridge of the nose and the corners of the eyes where the light picks up the most. That is probably one of the prettiest things on earth to me. And I just love shading that because it's the contrast of the super hard with the super, super soft. And it looks absolutely gorgeous. And I probably don't do it right, but I do the best of my ability, and that's all anyone can ask of me, really. Now, what's fun about the shading on this picture is that I use more of an orange color versus my usual red, because I feel that orange contrasts with the purple a lot better and blends together a lot more solidly than red. And it just looks really, really nice and soft. Mixing the orange with the red and blending it together with the airbrush is a very satisfying feeling. And that's one of my favorite things about digital painting, is just having that super beautiful shading and satisfaction that you get when you see something blending together perfectly, or at least in what appears to be perfect at the time, in a way to where it's just soft and subtle and beautiful. That's what I love about digital. And that's something that I would love to learn traditionally, but unfortunately my easy to upset self doesn't like being faced with things that I'm not immediately okay at. And trial and error, unfortunately, is a major part of art, and that's just something that a lot of people, including myself, struggle with, is just accepting the fact that you have to suck before you cannot suck. It's like what Jake the dog says in Adventure Time. He says, before you cannot suck at something, you have to suck at something, or something along those lines. I'm sure I'll look up the quote later and realize that I got it completely wrong, but my point still stands, meaning, like, I'm looking at this actually a few months after I initially recorded it, and I'm just noticing a lot of things that I missed initially, because it's surprising how even under the short course of just a few months, you can really change your perspective and how you draw and everything. And I still mostly draw the same, of course, but I'm noticing just subtle little things that are different from my current process than the old process. Like, nowadays, I don't even really make a new layer when I make an edit these days. Sometimes I just stay on the same layer because it saves me like the half a second before I just keep on rendering. But thinking again about what I was just talking about was with the whole just having to accept that you're bad at something. It's unfortunate because art puts you in this really weird mindset where you're simultaneously hating everything and anything that you make, but also you have to also try and love what you make, but it's so hard because and it's never in between for me. I feel either I absolutely adore something I make, or 2 seconds later I think I'm the worst person to have ever picked up a Wacom tablet, you know? And it's just so upsetting because I've noticed this in a lot of facets of my life where I'm scared to try out new things because I fear failure. And art is hard because it's just nothing but failure, constantly, repetitively, over and over and over. But you don't really improve. Well, of course you improve, but you know what I mean. You have to fail before you can succeed, and I'm too scared to fail to succeed. So I'm just kind of caught in this ever growing loop of just not trying new things. But that's what I've noticed since I recorded this Speedpaint, is I feel I've tried a lot more new things and changed a lot in my process, like I was saying, versus what we're currently looking at. Like, it's just I feel like listening to the audio earlier that I originally recorded when I started this I was saying I'm too scared to draw backgrounds. I think I've changed a lot since that. I feel like I've been drawing more and more backgrounds since I've made this picture. And it's just so weird to me to think wow, I'm kind of a coward. Not a, that sounds silly, but yeah, I guess that's what I'm saying is I'm a coward. And I'm scared to face the fact that I'm not as good as I think I am, even though I know I'm not that good, but having to face that is scary. But unfortunately, it's something that the more I confront, the more control I have over it. And the more I acknowledge, hey, I actually don't know that much. I'm actually, despite doing this almost half my life, I don't really know what I'm doing or how I'm doing it or if it's good or not. And 9 times out of 10, it's not that good. Not even in a like self-deprecative stance of, oh, this isn't amazing by my standards. It's just going, oh, like objectively from the fundamentals of art, and when an average viewer would see this isn't that good. And even if people say, what are you talking about? This is great. I love this. Your art is so lovely. You have that little biting doubt in your head because you made the picture going, no, you didn't do great. You did very poorly. Do you see those eyes? Do you see that hair? Do you see that spot that you missed? They may not see it, but you see it and you know that it's there and you still didn't fix it. And as you grow to acknowledge that little conscience telling you what's bad about it and what you can improve is when you actually start laying down the boot on your flaws and actually bothering to fix them instead of just sticking your fingers in your ear and going la 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 la. And as stressful and as scary as that may be, it is an unfortunate part of not only drawing but being a human being, is facing your failure. Wow, this is a flippin' Speedpaint recording, and here I am going into ethics and philosophy 101. Not even ethics. I'm a fool. I'm a gosh darn fool. What I mean to say is I'm bringing up things that are irrelevant to the picture, but unfortunately I'm going on a tirade versus actually saying what's happening in the Speedpaint, because even while I know exactly what I'm doing in this picture, I don't really know how to explain it, because I just would be repeating myself over and over going, yes, here's where I'm adding more shadow because it needed more shadow. Here's where I'm using color burn because it needed some color burn to blend it properly. And I'm trying to learn how to record these better, and am wondering if going in depth more like that and just repeating myself constantly is okay, or if I should just go on these tirades. I probably shouldn't, but who knows? Maybe it might be good, because while I would like to talk more about the process of these videos, I would also like to talk about the mindset and the changes in between them, because it's just been so long since I've uploaded. It's been so long since I even looked at this file. I'm recording this in August, and I originally made the picture back in oh my gosh, I made it back in May, June, July, August. It's been 4 months. It's been 4 lousy months. And I feel like I'm looking at something that I don't even know what to say about it, because there's just not much that my current state knows what to say about. Because yeah, the process is the same, but the mindset's different, and that doesn't necessarily change the process, but it changes how I look at things, and it changes how I'm able to explain them. Maybe if I make a new next one I make, I'm sure I'll figure it out a lot better than I currently have things going. I mean, what a gosh darn roller coaster of nonsense, am I right? A tirade when I'm just talking about a picture that I made for my friend about 4 months ago. That's all that it is. And I'm overanalyzing it. I suppose some things need to be overanalyzed. But what I do enjoy looking at in this Speedpaint was noticing that I did all of the details and rendering first, and then later I was laying down the actual shadows, like the projection from the thing on top of her and going straight down. Despite even knowing the issues with the picture, I still am really happy about it, even even this month, because like there's a certain character to it that I really appreciate. And I even have that with some of my absolute just abomination awful old pictures from 2015 that I still really, really love, because I know that there was an intent and an idea behind it, and while that may not have been properly projected or produced, I know that behind that picture it was still there. And this picture, I'm not even sure what the original intent was, to be honest, but I think there's something there. And as pretentious and facetious as that may sound, I think there is some sort of emotion being conveyed here. I don't really know exactly what it would be, though. Not that I'm not one of those people who believes every single picture is a projection of something or another, or has a deeper meaning. No, I'm one of those people in the camp that's like, I like pretty pictures and I like looking at them and I like making them on the occasion when I'm actually capable of making them. And because of this, I am conflicted to say that there's an emotion being conveyed, but I feel like just looking at it now, there might be. And despite the fact that I may hate this picture, in maybe not even in a few years, maybe just in a couple months, I'll go, man, why did I ever like that? That's disgusting. I think that there's still a part of me that'll say, well, yeah, it's disgusting, but it still has something nice about it, and I won't know what that is, but I'll just know that there was something projected into it that had something nice to say, despite me not knowing exactly what that may be. Looking at it now, though, I'm really tempted to try and redraw this picture, but with a proper background and maybe even a full body, but I am so slow at drawing pictures. I have had speed paints in progress for about 2 years, and I wish I was joking, but unfortunately my attention span and my willpower are limited, and despite wanting to redraw this picture, there are so many other things that I actually should really redraw. But even then, I don't really have time between finishing commissions and finishing what needs to be finished and finishing pictures I actually really deeply care about. I would love to redo this someday, and maybe I will, but I can't really foresee it in the next year or so. Maybe, like I said, when I'm at that point where I don't like it anymore, then I'll give it a try, and I'll try to make it again, but where I like it. And making sure that I like it is honestly the most important part to me. And despite everything, I still like it. I think it's pretty. It's not perfect. Fortunately, nothing I really do is. But maybe someday, huh? Thank you very much for watching and putting up with me. Have a good day.